All right, looks like we are live, folks. Folks, welcome to the LifterLMS pre-sales call. My name is Kurt von Ahnen. You can find me on LinkedIn because I'm the only Kurt von Ahnen on LinkedIn. I'm guested today with Magic Will Middleton, talking to us from Barcelona, and we're having a great time. So if you have any questions, comments, anything to do with LifterLMS or WordPress in general, we'd love to talk to you about anything technical, strategy, or just hanging out. Jump on in. Let's see what we got.
Awesome.
And there's 3 people in here already, dude, so we should get something. Even if it's just a good morning and I'm from Ethiopia.
Nice. So yeah, I'm calling in from Barcelona. I just landed today. I'm super tired. I was up until like 3 a.m. last night, 3:30 a.m. last night. Got like 5 hours sleep, got on a plane, got over here, and then I've just been working since I landed. So I'm pretty exhausted, but how are you feeling, Kurt?
In a mix. As you well know, I am planning a big move. We're going to move the family from Southern California to Kansas. And there's just a lot of stuff that happens in the background, man. My wife's a dynamo. She's like packing up the house. It's we're not moving for another month. She's got like 30% of the packing already done. And I actually have someone coming to look at a motorcycle to maybe get rid of by tomorrow.
Nice. There's a lot of motion going on.
It's a lot, so you got to concentrate on working with LifterLMS. I work with WP Tonic, and then I have my own agency that I run. And so, that stuff with this kind of adds up to a nice package.
Absolutely. And it all the work kind of ebbs and flows, and sometimes it all comes in at once, and sometimes there's not a lot going on.
Yesterday I found myself actually just kind of sitting down in a quiet moment and just looking at the screen like I have nothing pressing that I have to do right now. Like, how cool was that? I just went and sat with my wife and had a cup of coffee. So Elizabeth's welcome to the call. Elizabeth's got a question for us. She says that she has a web shop. I'll put it up on the screen. She says she has a web shop with both physical products and online courses. When people sign up, they get an email from Lifter. They also get the mail when they buy physical products. They get the same mail that they sign up for at the course. How do I do so they do not get that email? All right. I think I'm going to turn down the music because it's really loud on my end.
Yeah, for sure.
Might be a little crazy. I kind of like the music in the background. I know people are kind of in and out on music, but for me, I kind of like it. So I've got a demo site up in the background. Tell me if it's are you seeing the demo site like in full screen now?
Yeah.
Perfect. So, I think what you're talking about right now is like, how could you take care of like notification emails that you would get from Lifter? And so if we go into our LifterLMS menu, I'll open that up fully so you guys can see that kind of expand. And then we have the dashboard, settings, reporting, all the stuff. Let's go to settings. And in settings, we can go right over to notifications. And with notifications, basic notifications are like those pop-ups that come up in the top right of the screen. And then, of course, an email notification is an email notification. So if you wanted to alter those or change those, you can click on one of those. This one is for an assignment that's been reviewed. And so this shows us the information that would go in that review. This says that it goes to the student, and we can pick additional recipients. So like if I wanted to copy myself on things that got reviewed in the site, I could put my own email in there. Of course, you can send a test, or you could turn off that notification so that that email doesn't go out. If we take a look at other notifications, you can see that you get them for all kinds of things. So a course track complete, for enrollment, for a lesson complete, for a payment retry scheduled, private areas. If you have private areas set up and you're sending private posts back and forth to students, you can get notifications or emails that go with those notifications. And so you can play with all of those types of emails. The other thing to think about is, I think you're in WooCommerce, right? Is that what she said? She didn't say.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wonder what she's using for a payment gateway then if she's selling physical products, because my assumption is that she's doing WooCommerce. But WooCommerce has notifications that you can adjust and change as well.
Yeah, the WooCommerce settings emails has some more options there.
Yeah, she's a WooCommerce person. She just popped back in on that. So, Elizabeth, that kind of gives you some options. The other thing that LifterLMS has, and I'll just go back to the demo site real quick. I don't want to give you half an answer. LifterLMS also has a thing called engagements, and engagements has the ability to reach out to students as well. So in this example site, you'll see that we have all of these different engagements that are built. And if we were going to add an engagement can be things like giving out an achievement, sending an email, or to start a private post automation. So here you could have an email that you would have written. The triggering event could be, any one of these triggers that's in your site, like student fails a quiz. You could send them an email that says, hey, I'm sorry you failed the quiz. Please don't get discouraged. Please review the material and try again. And then you could also delay any kind of trigger that you wanted to send. So if it was student failed the test, send an email to encourage them to retake the content in the test. And you could delay that by 1 day or 2 days or something like that if you chose. So there's 2 places in LifterLMS where you have the ability to send a transactional email, and those are where those are located. One is in LifterLMS settings under notifications, and the other is under engagements.
Yeah, that's a good outline of LifterLMS emails in LifterLMS, and then in WooCommerce there are those emails that go out. So depending on the email template you have as well, that in your inbox, sometimes there's like the one with the purple header, which is usually going to be from WooCommerce, and then the Lifter ones usually have a blue header by default, and that can be changed with the LifterLMS Labs simple branding. You can change that blue to a color that's more on brand. So a few different places your site could be sending emails. So yeah, usually you're definitely, if you're selling out of WooCommerce, you'll definitely get the WooCommerce purchase receipts. But then if you're also enrolling them in courses, it might be triggering some Lifter stuff as well.
Yeah,
awesome.
And then, you know what, dude? You bring up a point. I mean, I've seen people build these, like, I don't want to call it a Frankenstein site because I've actually participated in some of this in the past. But, you'll have a CRM that's external and WP Fusion that's attached to something and WooCommerce. And the next thing you know, you've got all of these different tools that have the ability to send transactional or marketing emails. And sometimes you can step all over yourself if you're not careful. So, to your point, Elizabeth, it's a really good best practice to kind of run through your site as a student would, like have a fake account, run through the whole thing, see what kind of notifications you get, and then kind of perform an audit to see which things you want to turn off, turn on, or audit, edit to make sure that you're getting the messaging that you want to your students.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, Elizabeth, feel free to drop in the chat if that helps out with isolating your email issues at all, or understanding a little bit more of the areas emails could be coming from on the back end of your website. And let us know if you have any follow-up. Oh, there she is in the chat again with a question I'll highlight on screen. I've already changed the text for the students under settings. Okay, when I sign up, I've changed the text that they now have access to the course, but when they do not buy a course, they also get the mail that they now have access to a course. Is there a box that can be checked so that it's only students that get the mail? So I'm confused about like what panel we're in here. Like when it says an email is telling them they get access to a course, what that email exactly is. Like, is that a WooCommerce email or is that a Lifter email? I don't know if we're clear on that yet. Like where, like exactly in the WordPress admin, are you going to check the boxes? Is it like WP admin, LifterLMS settings, notifications, or is it under the WooCommerce settings we're taking a look at? Because usually student welcome email should not be triggered from Lifter if they're signing up through WooCommerce. And unfortunately, we can't add images here in the StreamYard chat, or the chat here. Let me.
She might be able to add it as a comment in the Facebook page.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah, we're streaming live on Facebook as well, so that might be a good place if you head over to LifterLMS, the Facebook page, if you're a part of that that group there, and then drop that as a comment. That might be a good place as well. And I could share my screen real quick here. Let's prepare a window. So here's a quick look at the LifterLMS settings. So yeah, Elizabeth, if you want to jump over to the Facebook page and drop a comment there with a photo, that might help give a little more context. But yeah, so yeah, if there's like a purchase receipt or a student welcome from Lifter, let's see, so that's going to be sent to the students with your dashboard login. So that's going to be sent when a student signs up to the website. So yeah, I'm not, if we can get a little more detail about what exactly that is, that would help out for sure. And then we have some more questions coming into chat as well. I'll highlight this while we wait to see some more details on Elizabeth's question. I guess, Kurt, can you monitor over there on Facebook and see if we get that question coming through and
yeah, she says that she's the fourth one down in settings and notifications. So I'm going to that right now to take a look at that, and that is 1, 2, 3, fourth one down. That's not it for me. So that's not
right. Right. This list on notifications is alphabetical order. So if you put a translation plugin on the website, it's going to switch the order.
Yeah. She's on the student welcome one is
student
what
welcome.
she's on.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, perfect. So student welcome is the one that she is. So this has me wondering, you know how we build the payment gateway in LifterLMS, it'll actually add the account before the payment's complete because it reconciles that somebody has an account in order to make a payment. I wonder if she's using a combination of like the LifterLMS payment gateway for courses and then WooCommerce for hard goods.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if she hasn't integrated WooCommerce into the LifterLMS side.
Yeah, and the student welcome, I can't remember if this one would go through if you're a customer on the website. If you buy something with WooCommerce, usually you're a customer by default, but I haven't run through and tested this one in a while. So if you are seeing this come through, this would show up to anybody who signs up there. So some helpful information to get you started about courses. So there's not a way to say only send this to certain users. Maybe a solution there would be to turn this one off. If you uncheck this box, what you could do is go to LifterLMS engagements like Kurt highlighted earlier, and we could build an engagement email. And then this engagement email would include links to reset your password. Basically, we would write the email here instead of in the LifterLMS settings. And then we would add an engagement with that email we created as a student welcome. And this would be student enrolls in course. The student enrolls in a course. And unfortunately, you'd have to do this for like each course on the website. My website currently has like 20 courses on this demo site. So I'd have to create 20 engagements that all use the exact same email that I would have created, which would be like a custom student welcome. That way, the student welcome would only be triggered when somebody enrolls in a course, or you could do the same for enrolls in a membership. But then it would also trigger every time somebody enrolled in a course. So even if they're already a user on the website and they enroll in the second course, they would get the same trigger of student enrolled in another course. They would get a second email. So you'd want to make sure the language in your email reflects that, like, hey, thanks for signing up for a course on our website. Just so you know, here's a link to some key resources. Somewhat of an email like that. I think that might be the best way to go if you're trying to really segment it out. I don't know, Kurt, what do you think about that approach? Other than using a CRM, if you were to go with a CRM like, MailChimp, Groundhog, or ConvertKit or something, then that's more advanced. But this is just with Lifter out of the box.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of power with Lifter just out of the box, Will. And to your point, you could do the simple thing like you suggested, and you're doing a proof of concept and it's working, right? If you want to get more involved and have the power of a CRM, well, then yeah, I would migrate and adapt over time if this is a startup project. If this is an established project, then connect the CRM right away.
Yeah, and so when you connect to CRM like Mailchimp or I'll just use Mailchimp and ConvertKit as examples because LifterLMS in the Universe bundle has integrations with those out of the box. So then you would say on each course or membership, it would let Mailchimp or ConvertKit know when somebody enrolls in that course or membership. So then you could trigger an automation from the Mailchimp. So Lifter is almost not even sending these emails; it's just going to be coming from the CRM in that case.
Well, that leads into the next great question, dude. Megan Dawson hit us up about ConvertKit. But she said, I know there's a ConvertKit add-on, but is it easy to integrate with MooSend instead?
I've never heard of MooSend.
I got good news for you. I'm putting a link in the chat that we can share on the screen.
Yeah.
Turns out that MooSend is built into the WP Fusion world.
Yeah.
So yeah. WP Fusion, connect to MooSend, connect to LifterLMS, bada boom, bada bing.
Awesome. Yeah. So it sounds like, Megan, for your question there, WP Fusion is a third-party company that creates an integration with WordPress and also tools like Lifter and membership software is a bunch of specific plugins in WordPress, and then all those CRM tools like ConvertKit, MooSend, ActiveCampaign, and it gives you a lot of options and flexibility for sending data from your WordPress website to these third-party services, and in a very advanced way. So you could say if a student fails a quiz, you could add a tag to somebody in your CRM, or if a student enrolls in a course, add them to a certain list. There's a lot of power in WP Fusion.
Yeah, and I tossed that link into our Facebook stream as well.
Awesome. And yeah, so I was actually at the founder of WP Fusion, Jack. I was at his place last night, and so that's
dropping names
where I flew in from here to Barcelona. So Jack's really good at managing automation in his own life and his business life for clients. He's like the automation expert. So WP Fusion is a great product if you're trying to install some automation into your workflow.
Yeah. Is there anything you can share from your visit that's not like, taboo or against corporate security or anything? I mean, did you have a good time?
Yeah, I had a great time. Jack has a really great setup going on at his place. He's got like the cool lights and like neon lights and an awesome TV and just like a great community. It's like interesting in WordPress that we work pretty remotely, and we're all across the world, all across different countries and stuff. So it's really cool to meet up in person and do some activities together. We just hung out for really just about a week, and it was really just kind of in our off time because we're still both working full time, but just going to some activities and getting to know each other and hanging out and doing some fun stuff, like hanging out at a skate park and just kind of whatever activities we could find to get into. And I guess where I was at was in Berlin, and there's a big bike culture in Berlin. So you can go out to the sidewalk and rent a bike or rent a scooter and just navigate around, go to some good restaurants and stuff. So just kind of hanging out and seeing the town with him.
Yeah, no, it's I told you this when we were at WordCamp US, but like I've been in WordPress, I've been in the space for 19 years. Like my WordPress user account is under the name Von Concepts, which is an old name for me, and I established that in 2004 with WordPress, and then so for me to think of it in those terms, and then the idea that I didn't even start like working with you guys until what 3.5 years ago or something, I guess, right?
Yeah.
somewhere around there. And then next thing you know, I'm at WordCamp, and then I'm meeting Kathy's aunt in Phoenix, and it's like, hey, there's a whole stinking community in here. Like, this is pretty cool, right? And it just really adds to the flavor. I think if I can encourage more and more people to get involved in the, in the ecosphere of WordPress, I would. Speaking of which, Elizabeth now has a question about why we're not using Zoom any longer. And no longer use Zoom. Yeah. Well, Zoom bombers kind of ruined that for you, Elizabeth. When you're streaming live to 3 or 4 channels and people break into your Zoom call and start putting up naked cartoons or porn or something like that, as a brand, you can't have it. So we went over to StreamYard for a little more security, and to be honest with you, it's improved our reach quite a bit. We're getting more viewership on StreamYard than we were on Zoom, but it does take away the ability to screen share and invite guests to the screen with us.
Yeah, there are those disadvantages. It'd be nice to be able to pull individuals on. Like if we see an individual in chat, we could just pull them on as a guest. But unfortunately, we don't have that option currently. And yeah, that's the thing you highlighted, Kurt, that I love about StreamYard is that we can stream to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and StreamYard at the same time, and get people from a bunch of different platforms tuning in, hanging out in the background, and learning from each other's questions. And then, of course, we can interact in the comments. And like you mentioned, I didn't even think that people could post comments in the Facebook channel, like you said, so we can see pictures there. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And we did have a comment from the YouTube channel. Highlight that. This was just in the last week. And this is on a video about LifterLMS advanced videos. So we have getting started videos about all the LifterLMS add-ons, or most of them have a getting started video. And so this is, can we track video watch time, and can a user continue from where they left off if they only watch half the video? And with LifterLMS advanced videos, the answer is yes. What it does is it tracks that user progress throughout the video on your website. And so they can pick up where they left off. And it does show watch time. And if you're embedding a YouTube video, you'll see this in your YouTube video statistics as well in the back end of your YouTube account. But you can also see under the LifterLMS reporting area, if I pull my screen back up here, let me jump to my window and we go to LifterLMS reporting. I have LifterLMS advanced videos installed on this website, I believe. So if I jump over to courses, and then I'll check out one of my sample courses, and I go to students, and then, I don't know, we'll check out this sample student and see, yeah, so LifterLMS advanced videos adds this column here for video, and this student has watched 0% of these videos. We can see that there's only a few lessons that have a video, lesson with certificate, call to action, but we can see this user has completed 0% of the video. And so that's the feature of advanced videos that will show you as a website admin how much of the video completion there is. And I think if we go back out to the course, I want to go back out to courses, just courses in general here. I thought I could see, we can see average progress, average grade. I don't think we can see average video statistics. Yeah, I don't think we can see average video statistics, but that's something you'd be able to see in the back end of your video host, Vimeo, YouTube, Wistia. You'd be able to see those metrics in the back of those hosting platforms. Yeah, so that's a quick highlight of LifterLMS advanced videos.
Yeah, and I want to welcome some of these folks to the comment area. We've got something from Mateus, someone named Alex. Elizabeth was still active in there saying thanks for the help. But yeah, it's cool to see everybody kind of jumping in and asking questions. You want to jump on the one from Mateus?
Yeah, let's see.
Can Lifter be used? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, can LifterLMS be used to create my own platform? For instance, an access that will give buyers the ability to see all the content available on the platform.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to be clear a little bit about what we mean when we say platform. LifterLMS is a plugin for WordPress, so you would need a website host that's hosting your own WordPress install. But then you can use LifterLMS as your membership content restriction plugin that adds these features to allow you to take, you can go into pages or posts or courses, and what you can do is restrict these items. So if you create a whole media library or a whole architecture and pages, you can use LifterLMS membership in the bottom right corner. We can restrict it to membership access, so only members of a certain membership can access this content, or we could embed our content in a course, so you have to be enrolled in the course in order to access the content. And in order to enroll in a course or a membership, you'd have to go through one of the access plans, typically, in order to get enrolled into that course. There's a few exceptions if you're using vouchers or if you're manually enrolling students, but usually that's the setup. And Lifter is courses and memberships can restrict this content on your WordPress website. And I know, Kurt, I don't know if you want to share a little bit about your project. You're putting together kind of a resource library are you putting together are you using pages and memberships? Or are you using courses, or are you using both to kind of put together your own platform for a specific training?
Yeah, so I use the membership tool kind of extensively in this one new project of mine, and that is I have courses, and then one of the things that you can do with courses and memberships, because everything's integrated with our system already, Mateus, is you can auto enroll people based on membership. So let's say you've got 10 courses, and if someone buys the VIP membership, you want to auto enroll them in all 10 courses. You can have that automated. So that just happens when they sign up for that membership, which is cool. The other thing, like what Will described, was I can take documents like Word documents, PDFs, PowerPoints, audio files, things like that, and I can load them into the website and then link to that content from pages or buttons that are hidden from people that are not enrolled in the website. So it allows me to say, oh, if you join this website, if you join as a member, you get access to, these assets and these tools. And then people that aren't members, all they see is a sales page that says people that are members get access to these tools and assets. So that's one of the ways that we're using this system. The other thing that you kind of alluded to, and I don't know if this is what you're really thinking, Mateus, is are you thinking of having guest instructors sell courses as well? Or were you just thinking of having your own courses that people would have access to purchase? Because there's a difference in the setup about whether you want to sell your own courses or whether you want to allow guest instructors to come into your site and be able to sell courses and get a revenue share out of that. You can do that with Lifter. It's a more involved setup, but I just want to let you know that that's a possibility.
Absolutely. Elizabeth said, thanks for the help. I'll try what you suggested. And Megan said, I think you just answered this, but I was typing my question and didn't catch it all. Did we take a look at this question? Can we create additional, okay, cool. Can we create additional post types and taxonomies? For instance, instead of a new course, it's a new tutorial in addition to courses. Or can we use something like advanced custom fields to create new post types and use LifterLMS to restrict access content based on a membership? Yeah, so I don't know if I don't think the LifterLMS membership system works on these custom post types out of the box, but there's a code snippet you can use. I could try to dig up this code snippet. Is restrict custom post type LifterLMS membership. Let me see here. I found what I think is the right guide. Yep. Let me highlight this on screen.
Shazam.
Sure. So what we would do for that kind of a setup is, here we go. So how can I restrict custom post types to a membership? So you'd use your advanced custom fields or any custom post type plugin to create a custom post type, like a tutorial or something like that. And then you could
something. Yeah.
Yeah, in our knowledge base, we have this this little code snippet on GitHub, and I can't remember exactly. I haven't looked at this in like a really long time, so it's not too long of a code snippet, but there are just a few things you would fill out here. So these are the comments in PHP. So you have to be a little bit more advanced to be comfortable enough to read the comments here in PHP and change out the text, but our developers do a good job of documenting what the items below here are. So this is like the custom post type names in an array. So if you have, so this is the IDs of the memberships that you'd have to have in order to get access to these custom post types. And then somewhere here, we have to specify the post type ID. So it is possible. I'd recommend checking out this link. I'll drop it in chat. But there is a little bit of custom code involved with restricting the membership, the custom post types to your memberships. Another consideration, though, is if you're not comfortable with custom code, nowadays with custom post types, they can use the block editor in WordPress. And so you can use the block visibility settings of Lifter to just restrict the content of the page to having to be enrolled in a membership. I could share my screen on that as well if I got too many windows open.
Yeah, and the other thing, Will, is there's other ways to skin that cat, right? So you can, if you're using a page builder, you can isolate like blog posts by category, and then you could have a category that is tutorial, and then only have the tutorial blog post show up on a category page that's listed for tutorials, and then you could member restrict access to that, right? So there's like all kinds of ways that you can skin this cat and make something happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wanted to show the CPT UI thing real quick, custom post type. If we can make a tutorial post type. This is not a LifterLMS product, but it's a pretty popular one in WordPress where you can create your own custom post type that goes in the sidebar of your website. So I basically gave my post type a name, and now we have tutorials over here on the sidebar. And so if I add a new one, the block visibility settings might be a little bit easier to use. So this is my tutorial one, whatever you want to call it. And then we would just add my content. And then we would display this content only to people who are enrolled in a certain membership. So they could view the post, but they wouldn't be able to view the blocks on that post, if that makes sense. So then you could add another section below that says, hey, you could add like the sales content. So we have the content of the post, but then below here, we would add, this is the sales button. And this would be displayed to non-enrolled users and visitors. So we would add some sales text below here. And so that's like a little bit more of an involved setup. What Kurt suggested was a pretty good idea as well. If you were to just create a category of blog post and then just restrict these blog posts in the category and create a custom archive for those posts, that'd be a little easier as well. A couple different ways.
I'm kind of chuckling to myself because we start these lives as like, this is your getting started in WordPress or getting exposed to Lifter, like pre-purchase like information calls, right? And today's call is like, oh, do you want to customize some code? Let's take a look at this real quick.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks everyone for joining and dropping some questions in the chat. We have a ton of them rolling in. Seems like these lives have been picking up some steam. But yeah, you're right, Kurt. We get a lot across the spectrum here of what people are trying to set up. I guess with I want to highlight real quick the coupon code on screen. LifterLMS-live will get you 15% off any LifterLMS add-ons or bundles. So write that one down. If you're on this call and you're thinking about buying a LifterLMS add-on, make sure to save that coupon code somewhere. You could write it on a piece of paper. You could save it to your clipboard, send it to your friends. LifterLMS-live, 15% off. So Alex asked a question here in chat. Another technical question on the topic of what you were alluding to, Kurt. I moved the site to a new host and I'm getting some errors. I want to reinstall LifterLMS. Is it as simple as deleting the plugin in WordPress, reinstalling it, and entering my license key? Yeah, I guess it really depends on the nature of the errors. Like with a plugin is just going to be in your WP content folder in the back end of your WordPress install. So it's just a bunch of code that's like determining how certain items in your database are going to appear on the back end of your WordPress website. So if you delete the LifterLMS plugin, you're not deleting your lessons, you're not deleting your courses, you're not deleting your quizzes, you're just deleting the code that helps the WordPress website understand what all this stuff is in the database. So you could delete the Lifter plugin and reinstall it and your quizzes and lessons and courses will all still be there. But I don't think that would really fix any error messages because we didn't really change anything. We just took the code away and then put it back. That doesn't really help resolve errors usually, but it is something you could try. So it really depends on the nature of the error and what kind of error you're seeing. Yeah.
So let's get to the obvious, the thing that we're going to talk about. So let's just bring it out. When you move from one host to another, you are you're taking your baby, right, and you're putting it in a different bassinet. You're taking that baby, you're putting it in a different stroller. And so you've seen old strollers with little tiny wheels, right? They catch a pebble, they catch a crack in the sidewalk, the baby's down in the front yard. You get the new stroller with the big tractor wheels, and everything's smooth and easy, right? And the baby's safe in the stroller. When you select your hosting account, you want to make sure you select a hosting account that's appropriate for the project you want to run. Now, I didn't realize that this was such a big deal until later in my WordPress career. But there's special hosting for video, there's special hosting for audio, there's special hosting for WordPress. And a lot of WordPress managed hosts are really aggressively caching these websites for performance reasons and to take some of the burden off the servers. But you're running a dynamic website by having an e-learning site. So anything that's like e-commerce or e-learning, you have dynamic content. And when there's dynamic content, all that caching can interfere with the interactions that your users will have within the website. So I would advise that you double check your website setup, look at your plugins, see if you have more than one tool that does caching, and then maybe reach out to your host and ask them what their caching tools are and ask them to not cache any LifterLMS generated pages. And that'll help quite a bit, I think.
Cool. And yeah, that's some good advice for sure. Reaching out to your host regarding those errors specifically. Alex gave us some more detail on that question, which is one of the errors is that it's missing files. I couldn't replace files one by one. I was thinking of reinstalling the files. Yeah. So reinstalling the plugin, you might want to do, I'd recommend always doing a backup of your website and writing down the version number of your LifterLMS install of I think Lifter's at version 7.2 something maybe. But write down that version number. That's pretty important just to know okay, I was on this version of this plugin. So but deleting the plugin and reinstalling the plugin shouldn't really cause any issues. And I don't even think you have to reinstall your license key if you delete the plugin because the license key is still stored in your database. Maybe you have to reinstall the license key, but it's a super simple thing. It won't delete any of your content. So if you run a backup, you can delete the plugin and reinstall it, and that should restore the default LifterLMS files. And yeah.
Alex had an easier question earlier in the thread, and it was just with some good advice for making an attractive course and lesson page.
Oh man, I missed that.
Yeah, that's in your Wayback Machine. That's some WP Course Creator stuff.
With
when you used to make all those videos about using Elementor and using different
Oh yeah. So I'm trying to find it. There it is. Alex's question: what resources are available to learn how to create nice looking course pages? So you could use a theme like Cadence or an Astra or SkyPilot, the new LifterLMS theme with the WordPress block editor. And if you like those themes out of the box and you like their style, you'd be good to go. Or even a Buddy Boss has some nice styling out of the box. But if you want to do a highly customized setup, like Kurt mentioned, I had a YouTube channel called WP Course Guide. If you just look up Will Middleton or Magic Will Middleton on YouTube, you'd also find it. I think it's under that name. But we've got all kinds of tutorials about how you could use Elementor or Divi on your Lifter website, because those are where you as the course creator or as the website builder can really design finite details of your website, like motion effects and padding and margins and advanced colors and entrance animations and stuff like that. Just a lot more advanced stuff and than what you'd usually find out of the box. And of course, that makes your project scale go up of how much work you're putting in, because now instead of just adding a homepage template or adding a website template, replacing your content and then being good to go, you're now kind of designing the homepage, and then you're designing the custom dashboard page, and then you're designing the course page template. There's a lot more work that goes in. But if you want to put in that advanced design work, I'd recommend go to YouTube and search up LifterLMS Elementor, LifterLMS Divi, and you'll find some of that content that I created a few years back about how to do that.
Yeah, and then on the Divi side, I've learned a lot from Melissa Love because I'm not a Divi user.
Yeah, Melissa's got a lot of good stuff. Melissa's sites, she also uses a lot of CSS because she's an expert like theme developer. Like she builds her own themes. So sometimes like her sites look incredible. Like she's got all kinds of cool SVG assets that are aligned on the page in weird ways, like lines and squiggles and like cool backgrounds and stuff. And so that stuff is a little bit more advanced. So if you want to go deep into Elementor or Divi, and really go crazy, having some CSS knowledge like that would be good too. But you could get pretty far with just the tools out of the box. But if you want to go to like Melissa Love levels of designing stuff, you'd have to have a little bit of CSS knowledge.
All right, Megan Dawson's back on screen with us. She's saying, speaking of videos, I'm assuming that embeds are fine. I saw the preference. I think it was YouTube, Vimeo. The other one was Wistia. So YouTube, Vimeo, and Wistia all work out of the box with LifterLMS as featured videos, which are featured videos feature. Just allows you to put in the link, and it puts it right at the top of the lesson or course page or something like that. Embedding video from any source works fine, though. Like I use an Adillo account. I have a lot of folks that use bunny.net. There's just a ton of other things out there to put video in. Some you can use just the link, right? And then others you actually have to use the embed code. So like with my Adillo videos, I have to use the embed code. I use the responsive version, so it adjusts with screen size. But I've been really happy with the way that works. And the hosting's really, really affordable for me. So that's why I went that way.
Yeah, and the nuance is just that if you want to use that advanced videos feature of Lifter, you'd have to have YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia. But any video host would work as long as you're not using that advanced videos feature. And most people don't use advanced videos, but there are a few use cases where you might want to use it. But in most cases, you'd be good on any video host.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the advanced videos thing, because I actually don't use advanced videos on many projects. I think I only have one or two that have it.
Yeah, and that's the only time it's ever really necessary to stick with those core ones. And then like you mentioned, going with bunny.net gives you options to use like Presto Player and customize your player. It gives you better budget options for storing a lot of video. Like there are some really innovative video hosts that you can work with, and be flexible if you're not working with advanced videos.
Yeah, I put Megan's question up. She said, what video hosting do I use? And I just put the comment on the screen. I use Adillo. They had a lifetime deal at the time. And so I bought the lifetime hosting deal. And so far it's worked out well. I get nervous with that stuff because it's like, well, how long is lifetime? But right now, lifetime seems to be working pretty good.
Yeah. And then, yeah. Oh,
Alex
yeah.
already fixed his website.
Awesome.
Dude, we're having a great call today.
Yeah, that's awesome. Ooh, like raise the roof. Missing file. That's so weird. So I guess in somewhere in that migration, I guess it might have dropped some kind of file. I don't know how that would work.
Might have been using all-in-one migration. I didn't say that out loud, did I?
So have you noticed an issue with that one, like not capturing all the stuff it needs to for a Lifter install?
My last few migrations, I was using all-in-one site migration, the plugin, and it was flawless for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, boom, stuff didn't work, stuff was missing, stuff was corrupted. It wouldn't finish the upload. Like it would just sit there and spin for 3 hours and never activate the site. So I switched to WP Vivid for migrations, and WP Vivid's been much more responsive and complete for me. And I'm probably speaking more than I should on a live call, but WP Vivid's been working really well for me. It's the one where with WP Vivid, you actually have to have both sites up, and you put a code in one site and then you put it in the other site, and it kind of does a handshake, and then it switches things rather than downloading a file and uploading a file, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Alex said. Exactly. I had other WordPress files missing, so something dropped somewhere in between. Yeah, that's I usually do. I mean, this is general migration advice for anyone listening. You can use migration plugins, like Kurt mentioned, all-in-one WP migration. There's Updraft Plus, and then what was the other one you mentioned, Kurt, that you had some success with?
The WP Vivid.
WP Vivid.
I still do a complete backup of files and databases before I do a migration, though.
Yeah, that's always the right thing to do. Is like whenever you're going to make some big change, it's like always do those backups. And your web host should provide it. I've been doing migrations from the hosting layer. Like I just had so many issues with plugin migrations over time, and it's great to hear, Kurt, that you found the WP Vivid one that works for you. But usually plugins don't have access to everything they would need to have access to do a successful migration, because they're operating on that like highest level of like, I went into the WordPress admin and installed this plugin, but there's deeper files inside the web host area that sometimes the web host isn't going to let plugins access certain directories. And that's just the web host being difficult, or trying to implement some kind of security rule or some kind of caching layer. They're doing something, but like, that's why I usually like to have the web hosting company do the migration, or just do the custom migration. There's like Josh Hall is big in the Divi community, and he has like this 25 minute YouTube video where he shows you how to do a custom migration, which is where you go into your SQL database and you download it. You go into your file manager and you zip it and you download it and you upload it to your new place and change your SQL database stuff. It's just like, you don't have to be a real good tech expert, because Josh Hall is good at explaining things, and he walks you through click by click what you're supposed to do. But that's like an actual like pure migration of you hand migrating your website. And of course it takes a little bit, because it's not just 25 minutes, because you got to pause the video and go do what he says. So it's like an hour. But that's like actually migrating the files rather than just installing a plugin and being like, okay, cool, it magically did it. So it's a little bit, but if you can get a plugin that'll magically do it and it works, then you're good. But there's a little bit of a risk in doing that, of like, oh, maybe it's going to miss something because my host is going to block a plugin from doing what it wants to do.
Well, and host to host, sometimes they're adding things that you're not expecting in the background.
Yeah.
And so you might come up with a conflict or an extra caching tool you weren't aware you were going to get, things like that.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing with WordPress as a platform of like, the idea of WordPress and what we do with building custom sites is we're putting themes and plugins and all kinds of stuff in there. And these are really just like pieces of software, like files and that are executing code. And so as general end users, we don't pay a lot of attention to what the files are that we're adding. And so sometimes, like you said, Kurt, we'll end up with a extra caching mechanism or something that's calling back to an old website host or something like that. Like I remember I did a migration that 2 years later, it became a problem that some of the image URL, like for these images on a web page, it was referencing a website that's no longer in existence, and so Google flagged the website as being risky because
malicious,
right, the malicious website thing. And so that was a whole thing of like, okay, now we got to go through the website and replace the images with what's in your current media library, because even though we migrated the website, it's still referencing images on a different server, which is a little strange. But we got that all sorted. And I wanted to go back real quick because I thought there was a question that we
did we skip one?
Skipped over. Maybe not. I thought.
I think we're good.
Oh, yeah,
I think we're good.
It's
we've actually been so busy. I didn't even get to bring up what I wanted to bring up today.
Oh yeah. I guess. What did you want to bring up?
I saw a video on YouTube today. I was preparing for the podcast with WP Tonic, and they pointed out that, you ever watch that WP Tuts, that guy named Paul?
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about what's coming in WordPress 6.3.
Yeah.
And it's like they're changing everything around again. I was like, I got to find out what Will thinks about that. Like, template parts is not template parts anymore. Like, template parts goes into patterns. Mm-hmm. And the last change, I think, was reusable blocks became patterns now too. So everything's just kind of, I'm losing track on where to tell people to go to find things.
Yeah, and it's definitely difficult for the WordPress training team and for us at a company trying to educate people on how to use the WordPress interface with the full site editing themes and the block builder when things keep moving around because it's still the technology is still evolving and um, they're still like working on that fundamental structure of how is this going to look, what's the user interface going to look like, and stuff like that. Like big picture, if we look at the Gutenberg or WordPress block editor on like a 10-year time frame or a 20-year time frame, we're still at that like first 3 years of I mean, I guess it came out in 2018, but um, it was like that was like okay, maybe instead of the WYSIWYG editor, a text box, we're going to introduce blocks, and now we're introducing like the full site editing theme, and so we're still in this kind of like evolving infancy of how these blocks are going to work and how it's optimal for them in the user interface and everything. Because the um, companies like Elementor, Divi, Beaver Builder, just all these page builders came into the market because users wanted a solution to build with blocks or build with a more visual way of doing things rather than using HTML in that old like pre-2018 era. You had to use HTML or something if you're going to edit in WordPress and try to make some kind of columns or something, or buy one of these page builders and install that. Or install one of the free plugins. So, but the fundamental issue is that those builders are not very optimized for performance, like at scale.
Heavy.
Yeah, they're super heavy. And so what WordPress is trying to do with this WordPress block editor is create a lightweight block building experience. And so that's like we see like them. It feels like fidgeting around of like, okay, we've got our template parts. No, never mind, they're patterns. It's like like, and we keep like moving things around, but it's like they're still in that process of optimizing. Like, how can we make this thing as lightweight as possible, so that we can have the balance of like a nice intuitive editing experience, but also something that's performant.
Yeah, well, you got Megan's question on the screen, and I put the answer in comments as well, because we've only got about 4 minutes left.
Yeah,
but she said she's not a fan of Elementor, and she wanted to know if Bricks Builder was okay. I don't really give a crud what people use as a page builder. The only one that knocks me off my balance sometimes is Divi. Sometimes I get into Divi and I get a little bit lost. But we have that. What is it? Is it? What do they call it? Divi Lift or something in the Lifter Lab?
Yeah, Lifty.
Yeah. So that helps us integrate with that a little bit better. The other thing was her question mentioned short codes. And so I have the link to our short codes resource right on the screen now. And I should probably put that into the Facebook page too, in case someone needs to look at that, get a hyperlink off of that. Resource for short codes.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, the page builder, no matter what page builder you use, it's probably going to be clunky to some degree. And it's like, yeah, whatever one you want to use should work. Yeah, you guys are awesome. Thanks. No problem. Thank you for the.
Have you ever used a front end page builder?
Yeah, they're really slow.
They are slow, but like I think about the user experience with like Page Builder Sandwich, right? Mm-hmm. So Page Builder Sandwich, if you buy the pro version or whatever, you get extra things. But if you just put the free version in and you build the template for your customers, right? So it's there like text, image, right?
Yeah.
They can use Page Builder Sandwich in like a what you see is what you get experience right on the front of the page. Like I'm going to click this. I'm going to change these words. I'm going to change this picture. I'm going to change these words. I'm going to change this picture. And as long as they don't want to mess with the format, it's like so intuitive, you can't screw it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like when I get into almost any page builder with a beginner, either, if they're a real beginner, it's easier. It's like handing a toddler an iPad. You can hand a toddler an iPad and instantly they're looking up videos and doing all kinds of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. But if you hand an iPad to a 30-year-old person that's never used one, they're confused as all get out, right? Yeah. I feel like that's that way with WordPress. I feel like right now, if you were to say, well, how do you want to change that? Well, is that a reusable block? Is it a pattern? Did you build that in Elementor? Is that a Divi element? Did you bring that over from a starter template in Astra or Cadence, or did you build this yourself? Or, what other plugins had to get installed for this accordion to open up? Is this an accordion from Gutenberg? Is this an accordion from Cadence Blocks? Is this an accordion? It's kind of crazy right now.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the back end of WordPress. And then there's that thing, like you said, if you have like 4 different things, page builders in the back end, it's like, okay, what pages did we use this builder on? Or what templates did we use the builder on? Like, how can I tell which of my pages are using my Cadence Blocks plugin? It's just like it can become a mess really quickly.
Yeah.
And yeah, so real quick here in the last few minutes, I want to hit 2 YouTube comments that I saw. This one was, would I have to set up Stripe with WooCommerce if I already have Stripe with LifterLMS using the integration? I gotta read that again. Would I set up Stripe with WooCommerce if I have Stripe set up with LifterLMS when using? So you can do 2 ways. You can do either Lifter plus WooCommerce, and then any gateways that WooCommerce supports. Stripe is one of them. You could do that and do a WooCommerce store, or you could just do LifterLMS direct to Stripe and not even use WooCommerce.
Yeah, and if you have a WooCommerce store, you want to do the integration, and then you want to have a product in WooCommerce that matches the access plan in LifterLMS. So in that case, you would put the Stripe information in WooCommerce because that's actually the cash register for your website. Yeah.
And then this last question is, this looks really awesome. Well, I should add context to this. This was on a video about LifterLMS SkyPilot. This looks really awesome. I wonder how easy it is to transition from an older theme like Astra to SkyPilot when we have a full education platform built out.
Staging site, baby.
Yeah, staging site. Just install the staging site and switch the theme and see what breaks, or just don't. I don't know. I'm opposed to just switching themes. Like, if you have something that works, why would you try to switch a theme on it? Like, give it a couple of years to just run as it is. Maybe.
That sounds so weird because SkyPilot's Lifter's own thing, and we want to support our own stuff. But Will's right, man. If you got something that's working and it's meeting your expectations or exceeding your expectations, why would you turn that off unless you really had an end result in mind?
Right. Absolutely. And that brings us to the top of the hour. Thanks everyone for joining. We had a full call today, and thanks Kurt for joining and answering questions. I think we got a lot knocked out here on the call, and we'll be live again next week, same time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. We'll send out an email, and we hope to see you on.